Hi everyone, in the last video we finished off the legs, and in this video we're going to create the arms for our character. So let's jump in. I'm going to start off by creating a cube, so I'm going to select the polygon cube tool and I'm just going to click on the grid like that, and then what we're going to do is use the move tool and we're going to move this up to where we want our arm to be. Now this is where the arm is basically going to join into the body. So I probably want it sitting sort of down the middle of the can. So I'm going to make sure my translate Z value here is set to 0. And then what we can do is just sort of move this sort of up and down as we need to. Now I'll also probably move this cube into the can until the manipulator is sitting just on the edge of the can. So something like this. Okay, so that manipulator's almost right up against the edge of the can. Okay, so once you're roughly happy with where the cube is, what we want to do is extrude this out or extend this out. So what I'll do is select face mode on the cube and select the polygon on the side here, and I'm just going to drag this out. Now this this polygon here is going to be where the wrist is. Okay, the hand will be out here somewhere. Okay, now you can always adjust all of this later on. Okay, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect right now. We can adjust the proportions later. All right, so let's grab the box here, and I'm going to add, just in the same way we did with the legs, I'm going to round this out by adding edges down, scaling the edges out, and then basically scaling the whole thing down until I've got the right thickness. So let's go up to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, and I'll open up the tool settings for that. What I want is multiple edge loops with one set for the number of edge loops, and I'll click here and here, so I get a split down either direction. Then I'll just select the new edges on the sides like this, so those 4 edges. Grab the scale tool and holding down the control key or the command key, maybe the command key on a Mac, just click and drag and extend these out until the end sort of becomes rounded. Then right click and go back to object mode, select the same object and do the exact same thing, but we scale it down now. So control or command, click and drag that, side handle, and just scale it down. So you want to get this down to about the same thickness as what you've got the legs, just so it sort of matches. Okay, you don't want really thick arms if the legs are very, very thin. Unless you're doing a character that's got massive arms and tiny, tiny, tiny little legs to make him look really muscly. Okay, so that's about right. We can always change it later if we need to. Okay, so let's do what we did with the legs and let's add a joint in the middle. In this case, it's going to be an elbow. So with the cylinder selected, or this box selected, we'll go to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. We'll leave the multiply set to this, and we'll just click in the middle here. And that gives us a position for the wrist. I'm then going to switch over to relative distance from edge, and I'm going to add an edge down near this end, and this is going to be the wrist area. And if I turn on my X-ray, I can do the same thing up here. I'm just going to place another cut just at the end, and that's going to keep this squared off when I smooth the object. Okay, let's right click and select vertex mode, and we'll grab these points, and let's grab the move tool and let's push these back a little bit. This is going to be the elbow basically. You can also grab the wrist section, you can pull that forward a little bit like that. Okay, now what I want to do is add in some cuts for the elbow, just to kind of reinforce that a little bit. I'm going to tap my spacebar and go to the top view here. I can also just select these vertices here, zoom in on the top view by tapping your spacebar in there, and then just press F, and that'll zoom us in on that elbow piece. So what I need to do here is basically add in an edge loop on either side of the elbow. So I'm going to go to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, go back to the options again, and keep it on relative distance from edge. What I'm going to do here is just drag this along till it's about here. Do another one on the other side for about the same distance. Okay, doesn't have to be exact. Then with the rotate tool selected, I'm just going to press reset just so that it's set up normally. And using, in this case, the y-axis handle, the green one, I'm just going to rotate this around like this a little bit. Now you can see when you do that, if you do it too far, see how it kind of squeezes in like this? We don't want to rotate too far around, but it does squeeze a bit. And if that happens, what you can do is just grab the scale tool, just reset it. You can actually just scale these out just a little bit again, just to get that volume back. Do the same thing over here, so just grab the rotate tool, y-axis handle, and just rotate that round. And if you need to, just squeeze the scale back out again if you need to, like that. So it's going to give us a nice area of deformation for our elbows. Now over here, if you want, you can right click, select vertex mode, just grab those vertices there and just use the move tool and just push them back a little bit like that. You don't really need to worry too much about that. That can be adjusted later on. Okay, so that's the arms. Pretty much good to go. The next thing we're going to do is the hands. I will start them now rather than in a new video. So let's just grab the polygon cube tool and let's just click towards the end of the arm. Now this will create the cube sort of down on the grid. I'm just going to turn off X-ray here. So what we'll need to do is move this up and kind of place it roughly where it's going to be on the hand. Okay, you don't want to get too close, but that's not too bad, something like that. And what we'll do is scale this this cube down like that. Okay, now the thickness of this end, you want to keep that a bit thicker than the wrist on the arm. Something like that. Okay. Just going to move this across a bit. I'm going to switch on wireframe on shaded just here so we can see the edges on the arm if we need to line things up. Okay, so at this point you need to decide how many fingers you want the character to have. I'm going to have 3 fingers, 1, 2, 3, and then a thumb. If you're going to have 3 fingers, what we need to do is split this box in this direction in with 2 edge loops, one here and one here, and that'll give us 3 polygons. If you want 4 fingers, like an actual human being, then you'll need to have 3 divisions down here. Okay, it's up to you how you want to do that. I'm going to go with 3. So I'm going to pop up to the Mesh Tools, down to Insert Edge Loop, and I'm going to use multiple edge loops and set it to 2. And then I'm going to click just here. And that gives me these 3 polygons on the end that I can extrude some fingers out of. Okay, I'm also going to put 2 across this direction. And that's going to give me later on enough polygons in here to create a thumb. Okay, so for now what I need to do is kind of round this out a bit. So I'm going to select these 2 edges here. I'm going to grab the move tool and I'm going to bring them forward. Just a fraction. What this is going to do is add a little bit of an angle on these 2 end polygons so that the fingers actually come out at a slight angle. Okay, then I'm going to right click and select face mode, and I'm going to select these 3 faces here, and we'll pop up to Mesh Tools, Edit Mesh, sorry. Let's go to Extrude. I'm going to switch off Keep Faces Together by clicking and dragging to the left. Okay, I'm then going to grab the offset value and holding down the Control or Command key. I'm just going to increase the offset a little bit. In this case, it's about 0.02. And then I'm going to pull them out just a fraction, just a little bit like this. Okay. Then I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to hit G to repeat the extrusion. I'm going to just drag the arrow straight out until I have the finger length that I want. So it's going to be something like this. Okay. Then I'm going to change the division number to 2. And that's going to give me my knuckles for my fingers. And then you can turn the tool off. Now, if you want these fingers to be a bit shorter than the one in the middle, you've got a couple of options. You can either extend this middle finger out a little bit, which is probably going to be a bit easier, or you can shrink the other two down a bit. Okay, I'm going to go for the first option, which is to extend this out. So I'm going to select the polygon on the end, hold down Shift and tap the full stop key 1, 2, 3 times. Then grab the scale tool and just stretch this out a little bit like this, and then grab the move tool and move this out until this is sort of back to where it was, and that'll give you a middle finger that's a bit bigger than the other two. Okay, now if you want this finger to be a little smaller, because normally the little pinky finger is a bit smaller, you can kind of do the similar thing, except this time what you would do is take this and you'd scale it down a little bit. So grab the scale tool. I'm going to set the axis orientation in the tool setting for scale to component, and that way it's going to angle along the polygons. And holding control and dragging on this handle here, I can kind of squeeze this in a little bit. Don't want to go too far, but something like that might do. Now at this point what you could do is grab edge mode, double click this one and just scale that back up a little bit so that it's kind of not too small. Okay, that's up to you. So that's going to give us the basis for a set of fingers. Now what I'm going to do is create a thumb off the bottom of here. So we'll go back to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, and I want to set the number of edge loops to 1 and click around the edge here like this. Okay. I'm now going to do the same thing on each finger running down the side. So here, here, and here. Okay. Now what this is doing basically is giving us this edge just here. This is where our thumb is going to come from. So we'll grab the move tool and I'm going to push it in towards the middle of the hand and then up. And that's going to flatten this corner off here. Okay. Then if I grab these two and I bring them sort of down and then across, that's going to be roughly where my thumb's going to come out of. Okay. Now I can do the same thing here. I can kind of grab these and sort of bring them down and out as well. And we'll spend quite a bit of time later on actually moving a lot of these polygons around just to round everything off. So don't worry too much if it's looking very blocky. All right. So this edge here, basically, I'm going to bring this up a bit. And this edge here, I'm going to bring sort of back a bit like this, and just trying to space this out so it's roughly a square, and that way it's going to work the same way as this did. Okay, so let's grab these two faces like this, and let's grab the extrude tool. So edit mesh, extrude, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. I'm going to bring this out a little bit. Note that keep faces together is now on, and we'll offset this in just a little bit like that. And let's see, I think we should be okay here. I'm then going to extrude this out a couple of times again. So let's grab edit mesh, extrude, and let's just pull this down. We can pull it forward as well if we need to, like that. This basically just needs to be the length of the thumb, and I can click on this rotation handle and just kind of rotate this around if I need to. Okay, so we get something along those lines. Okay, the thumb can be quite long, to be honest with you, and we still need to move this section out, so probably about there's where I want it, and I'm going to increase the divisions to 2 like that. Okay, so from this point, I just want to move this out slightly. So I've got the two ends selected. I'm going to hold Shift, tap the full stop key 3 times, and then grab the Move tool. And we can try setting this to component. We'll see what it gives us. It's not really accurate. It's not going to matter too much. I'll just reset the tool. What I want to do basically is just pull this down and out like this. Okay. So now what we want to do is start rounding everything out. Okay, and this hand is quite big compared to what I want it, so I will be shrinking this down a little bit later. Okay, so let's start rounding stuff off. The first thing I'm going to do is select face mode, and I'm going to select the 2 polygons here in the middle, and let's see, one either side, and I'll grab the ones at the back as well, these ones here. And what I'm going to do is pull these up a little bit. That's going to start to round the top of the hand out. Then I'll just select the 4 in the middle, do the same. Just bring those up a little bit, like that. Then what I want to do is I want to select the edges here. So I'm going to start off with that little one, and then rotate round, Shift, double click the one underneath. Okay, like that. And I'm going to do the same with these other fingers. So Shift click that one, Shift double click that one, and then the same this way as well. Now you can see there, because I Shift clicked the one underneath, it's actually gone backwards, selected the other way. So you might need to make sure you're selecting the top ones and the bottom ones. Just be consistent in that regard. All right, let's go to Edit Mesh. Let's go down to Transform and just pull the blue arrow out a little bit. And what that'll do is it'll kind of round off the tops and the bottoms. You can then do the same thing with the fingers around this side as well. So start there. Let's see. Yeah, let's start there, and let's Shift double click around to there. And that's going to more or less go right around the outside. We can also select these two as well. And we'll use the same tool, so Edit Mesh, Transform, and we'll pull this out just a bit, and that's just going to round the fingers off in the other direction as well, something like that. We can also do the same thing with the thumb, so I'm going to grab that vertex there, or edge I should say, and that one there, and let's just repeat that. So I'll hit G, that'll repeat the tool quickly, and then we can just pull that out a bit just to round that off like that. And then what I want to do is insert an edge loop through here so that I can round the thumb out properly. So Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. It's still set to the correct setting, so we'll just click here. And basically we don't need the whole lot selected. We'll turn the tool off. I just need from this edge here really to this edge here. And let's use the Mesh Tools, Edit Mesh, Transform, and let's just pull that blue handle out a little bit just to round that off. Okay, so that's most of the hand done. All we've got to do now is go in and refine the shape, which we'll do in the next video. If I press 3, you can see the shape that we're getting at the moment. So it's a pretty generic kind of cartoony shaped hand. But it's still it's getting there, and we can refine it a little bit more. All right, I'm going to leave this here, and in the next video we'll finish the hand off.